Back in 1976, El Chapo would have gay love letters sent to him saying how much the person loves him and wants to make love with him. El Chapo would always try to avoid these letters, but to no avail. El Chapo gave in to these letters. He couldn't resist the urge because El Chapo is bicurious. He couldn't hold back anymore. El Chapo would send letters back saying how much he wants to eat this person's excrement and to urinate in his mouth. He wanted his father to watch him have sexual intercourse with this stranger. El Chapo was secretly into scat porn. This was discovered by his maid after he was apprehended, who found this secret basement filled with headless big tit sex statues and dead bodies of young women. The reason I brought this up is because there's a bunch of shit everywhere. There was poop in the women's mouths, the ceiling, under mattresses, inside mattresses, and outside the mattresses. It was all over the place. The maid was puzzled and ran out of the house and went straight to the police station. But this is Mexico we're talking about. She ended up getting beat till she was knocked out. Then they traded her to the Los Zetas cartel for an ounce of cocaine. Then she got lynched by a bunch of angry Mexicans. Then her entire family got their hands cut off, and now they're all in wheelchairs. This was ordered by El Chapo himself. The person who was sending El Chapo these letters was actually the maid's brother, seeking revenge. He's puppeteering El Chapo with ease, and then he sent something that made El Chapo jump out of his seat. He sent a V-line pic. This gave El Chapo the boner of his life. This man told El Chapo where he lived, which was the Dominican Republic. This excited El Chapo because El Chapo was really into black men. The plane has arrived. The secret person's name is Gregory. His mother named him that because the person she ate yesterday was a journalist named Gregory Thompson. Gregory flew too close to the sun and ended up getting stoned by the village, and everyone ended up eating him like it was Thanksgiving. Everyone was having a blast, laughing, having a pretty good time. Before yesterday, Gregory didn't have a name. That's how poor he is. Now he's on the plane, looking into the clouds, thinking of how much dopamine is going to kick in when he stabs El Chapo a bunch of times. El Chapo is unaware of Gregory's true intentions. He's too busy stretching his penis, trying to make it grow an extra inch, but to no avail. El Chapo's henchman went into the room, asking if he's ready to meet Gregory. El Chapo was combing his mustache and said he will meet him until he is finished thinking. Gregory is at the opposite end of the hallway, consumed by anxiety. But then he remembers watching YouTube videos of how to keep yourself calm with breathing techniques. He used one of these techniques. The anxiety flushed out of his bowels. Now he's one with peace. El Chapo was finally done thinking and let him in. Gregory charged at El Chapo with his knife in the air. He was instantly shot down by El Chapo's henchman. El Chapo didn't even flinch. He was just staring at Gregory's corpse. His henchman dragged his body into the bathroom, and El Chapo helped with that by bringing a plastic bin he pulled out of his back pocket. And then they proceeded to stuff him into the plastic bin, pouring sulfuric acid into it. They needed to wear masks because Mexicans have something that's called the graphene gene. This gene gives them the ability to withstand toxic chemicals. It's because Mexicans used to be life-size tardigrades. That's why a lot of them are fat when they're in their 30s or 50s. They were done filling up the plastic bins. They shut it and called in a helicopter. The helicopter arrived and had a big hook under it. The helicopter hooked the plastic bin and went off to the Ojos del Salado volcano to dump the bin there. El Chapo never makes any half measures. Then El Chapo and his henchmen went off to the rec center. They wanted to blow off some steam and have some chit chat while drinking some beer. El Chapo agreed to never speak of it again, and if anyone ever finds out that he's a sexual degenerate, it won't turn out well for them. The government later found out El Chapo's reign of terror was all because he didn't have enough dash coins. So this is where El Mayo came into the picture. El Mayo has been friends with El Chapo since middle school. Him and El Chapo met by playing hopscotch. They were playing for hours. Recess was supposed to be over 3 hours ago, but the teacher was busy. She was playing solitaire on her laptop while arguing with someone on her phone. After hours of playing hopscotch, El Chapo asked El Mayo if he wanted to sneak out. It's not like the teacher will notice, and even if she does, she's not going to care. They snuck out, and El Chapo pulled out a smoke pipe. El Mayo was confused but a little bit excited. Then he pulled out a small baggie of DMT, but it was enough for both of them to hit it. They took one big hit each, and then almost immediately, they were both on a trip to having a good time. El Chapo could have sworn he saw Montezuma II, the 9th Aztec emperor of Mexico, and El Mayo felt like he was in the Moon Titan, one of of Saturn's moons. Both of them were on the floor staring at the sky. From an outside perspective, it looks like they were getting fellatio from spirits, but in their heads, they were seeing the anatomy of a black hole. They were deep beyond the event horizon. It's like they were floating. 15 minutes of this later, they were both sobered up and chilling. El Chapo and Lil Mayo went out for a walk. They started to talk about the collision theory. El Mayo mentioned that when suitable particles of the reactant hit each other with correct orientation, only a certain amount of collisions result in a perceptible or notable change. El Chapo said these successful changes are called successful collisions. Successful collisions must have enough energy, also known as activation energy, at the moment of impact to break the pre-existing bonds and form all new bonds. El Mayo stopped him right there. He pointed towards a sexy white lady with big tits and asked El Chapo if he wanted to have sex with her. El Chapo declined because around this age, El Chapo was a Christian. He didn't want to sin. He was too paranoid that Jesus will punish him for doing such a thing. So they kept walking. El Chapo brought up a quote from the Bible called the John 16:33. It said, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." This quote convinced El Mayo to be a good Christian. The sun was starting to set. El Chapo insisted they go back, which they did. They both found an empty playground. Clearly the teacher didn't check for the attendance. They both chose to go home and part ways for now. This was the day that made El Chapo into the man he is today. And now El Mayo is running business while El Chapo is running business about charity, giving away money to the poor, and giving ex-felons opportunities.